Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the Gooners and Gloves Podcast channel. In today's video, it's going to be the 83rd Gooners and Gloves Podcast, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and reactions to Arsenal's 2025-26 Premier League fixtures. Of course, today, the 18th of June, is when the Premier League fixtures for the 2025-26 season were released. So I thought it would just be some good fun for me to just kind of go over what I think of the fixtures, what I think of the order, what I think of each individual month, and essentially, yeah, just basically how I feel about the way that the fixtures have fallen for Arsenal next season. So I think it's gonna be a really fun video, something different. If you guys want to see me do this for the Champions League fixtures when they get released as well, please let me know and I'll happily do that. But yeah, pretty much let's just go on and jump straight in. So basically this is just going to be just a general video giving my thoughts on what the fixtures are like, how they're placed next to each other, and ultimately how I think these could weigh into the title race and to the future. And also I'll talk a bit about the transfer window and how I think these fixtures impact the transfer window. So pretty much let's go on and get straight into it. So as we know, let's start off with the elephant in the room, and that is the first six fixtures. The August and September fixtures, obviously a really difficult first six, and this is why many people, myself included, now feel like there has to be some serious progress in the transfer window, because we have six very difficult fixtures to start the season off. We have some really hard fixtures. Obviously there's a couple of decent ones sprinkled in within that first six, but for the most part it's really tough fixtures and it's really difficult. There's some really hard away days in there as well. So let's go on and go month by month. So first of all we've got August, and obviously August is an insanely hard month because we've got Old Trafford on the first match day and also Liverpool away on the third match day. We've got Leeds at home plastered in the middle of that, which is nice, so at least August isn't just entirely hard. But obviously Old Trafford and Anfield in the same month is of course not easy. So yeah, by the way, the fact that an Arsenal United game is on the first match day I think is actually really exciting. Like obviously it's a hard game to start the season, don't get me wrong, but that being said, it's very rare that we get stuff like this. It's very rare that we get that kind of a game on the very first match day, so I'm actually kind of excited, I'm not gonna lie. It's just very rare. Normally you tend to see the bigger teams facing, easier teams at home, etc. So to actually see, two big teams and obviously two big derby teams going against each other on the first match day is actually really exciting. So that is how we will kick off our season. We've got Manchester United away at Old Trafford, obviously a difficult game to start off the season. Then we've got Leeds at home, which is obviously a good first home game, so that will hopefully get us off to a winning start at home, fingers crossed. And then we've immediately got Anfield away, so obviously three for the most part difficult fixtures in there, and definitely a very hard start to the season in August, so we're gonna have to be ready for this. So that's August. It's Manchester United away, Leeds at home, and Liverpool away, so we're definitely gonna have to be ready. Obviously very tough fixtures. And then it doesn't get much easier in September. Now Nottingham Forest at home isn't too bad, so that's okay, but then of course Manchester City at home and also Newcastle away. So as you've already noticed, we've got Old Trafford, Anfield, and also St James's Park all in the first six. But don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about this, to be honest. I know a lot of people don't like this, a lot of people have been annoyed about it, and I do understand that it's not great to start off with difficult fixtures, but me personally, I'll always prefer to start off with harder fixtures and then get slightly easier ones later down the line. And I would definitely say that our run-in is actually pretty good. Like our run-in is probably one of the best in the league, and obviously it makes sense. We start off really difficult, we have a good run-in. That's exactly what happened for the 24-25 season. We had a really hard start, and then by the end of the season, we had one of the best run-ins. So I'm not personally complaining. Obviously it's not ideal. Like you'd probably prefer these harder fixtures more like in the middle of the season, not too far away from the end, but also far enough into where you've built some momentum. But I'm not going to complain too much. End of the day, it will be nice to get out the way Old Trafford, St James's Park, and also Anfield all in the first 2 months of the season. It'll be nice to just get those fixtures out the way, get those under our belt, and then we know that regardless of how they went, we won't have to worry about them again. So it's nice to get those out the way. And as I already said, there's still a couple of nice games sprinkled in there. Leeds at home and Nottingham Forest at home, so hopefully we can get through it. But this is definitely why we definitely need to make progress in the transfer window. We really want to be seeing that striker over the line by the time we get to preseason for sure. There's been some updates on Sesko and Gyökeres. I won't get too much into them today because ultimately nothing's done until it's done and nothing's too concrete. But hopefully we can get that striker over the line by the time we get to these fixtures. Obviously Martin Zubimendi will be an Arsenal player by then, as will Kepa, and potentially a winger. So yeah, but we definitely need to be getting our transfers on point, no doubt about that. Obviously with such a hard run, we can't afford to drop too many points, so we'll need that striker fit and firing. We'll need Martin Zubimendi, we'll definitely need it all. So yeah, that's the first 2 months, the first six fixtures. Man United away, Leeds at home, Liverpool away, Forest at home, City at home, Newcastle away. So some really tough games in there. Obviously Man United, Liverpool, and Newcastle all away from home, and City at home isn't particularly easy. But that being said, it's the card we've been dealt and we've got to deal with it. Thankfully, it gets a lot better in October, as October is 3 pretty decent games. West Ham at home is obviously a great game, although that being said, one that we really need to take seriously. It's not a bad game, but at the same time, the last 2 seasons we've lost it, and the last 2 seasons they've played very significant parts towards us not winning the title. So it's a good game, but also not one to be taken lightly, because the last 2 seasons we've actually lost West Ham at home, and arguably in both seasons it cost us the league, because obviously, you know, we lost the league out by only like 2 points in the 23-24 season, and obviously, you know, as much as Aston Villa was the official killing blow, for me, the West Ham at home game was a lot more unacceptable. And obviously, this season, had we won that West Ham home game, we would have closed the gap to only 2 points to Liverpool, and then it would have absolutely been an open title race. So, very unfortunate, but hopefully we can redeem ourselves. But yeah, not too bad of a month. West Ham at home, Fulham away, and Palace at home. Obviously, Fulham away is tricky, but at the same time, definitely winnable. So a pretty good month in October. West Ham home, Fulham home. West Ham home, Fulham away, Palace home. So that's definitely a lot better of a month, especially after the difficult August and September that we've got. It'll be nice to just kind of have a bit of an easier October. I think this is also around the time that we get back from international break, so it's good that we don't have to come back to too difficult of a run. Then again, it's definitely not the easiest in November. November starts off easy, but then gets tough. So Burnley away and Sunderland away is obviously very nice. So 2 promoted teams back-to-back weeks. So that's a really good way to start November. So that's obviously exciting, a good way. Obviously Burnley and Sunderland, 2 of the newly promoted teams. So that's a pretty, you know, that's quite good. I can't really complain about that. End of the day, it's nice to have 2 promoted teams back-to-back in 1 month. But then, of course, the rest of November gets a lot more difficult. First of all, it's the North London derby at home. So it is at home, but as I've always maintained, in a North London derby, form goes out the window. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's all about who's, you know, basically who imposes themselves more. So that's not easy. And then Chelsea away immediately after that. So 2 back-to-back tough London derbies, the North London derby at home and the Chelsea derby away from them at Stamford Bridge. So not an easy month overall. So all in all, November's about a 50-50 sort of month. Burnley away and Sunderland away is pretty good. But then, of course, Tottenham at home and Chelsea away aren't particularly easy. And let's not forget, Burnley and Sunderland are both away as well. So it's a month where we're away 3 times and only at home once. So yeah, November, not terrible, but definitely not the easiest. Moving on to December, and as we can see, it's not too bad. It's actually not too terrible. So we've got Brentford at home first. That's pretty good. Aston Villa away, which is obviously tough. That's been a really difficult game for us in the last couple of seasons, so that will be difficult. But then Wolves at home, not too bad. Everton away is definitely not easy. We've struggled at that game in the past, and obviously it's going to be the first time that we play Everton at their new stadium, so that's certainly going to be very interesting. Goodison Park has always been a bit of a nightmare for us, to be honest. We always seem to struggle there. So hopefully a new stadium will mean a fresh change of perspective on the game, and maybe we start to find it a bit better. So there's Everton, and then we've got Brighton at home and Aston Villa at home. So Aston Villa games in very quick succession, but all in all, this is actually quite a decent month. Not too bad. Couple of difficult away days in there, Villa Park and also Everton's new stadium. But Brighton at home, Villa at home, Wolves at home, Brentford at home. So to be fair, December's a very decent month, and hopefully one that we can really do well with. Then we move on to January, and January is definitely not the easiest. In fact, it's actually really tough. So it starts off very difficult. We've got Bournemouth away. Bournemouth, of course, very good this season, and I would expect that they'll probably keep their form up heading into next season. So Bournemouth away will certainly not be an easy game. Then we've got Liverpool at home, which for obvious reasons is going to be tough. Forest away, which again, we don't know how Forest will do next season, but again, you'd imagine that they'll still make it quite a tough game. So I think that will be quite difficult. Man United at home, again, it's still a derby. It's still Man United, and then Leeds away. So actually, January is quite a difficult month now that I've really reviewed it properly. January is actually probably one of the most difficult months. Bournemouth away, Forest away, Man United at home, Liverpool at home. So actually, yeah, January is probably one of the hardest months that we've got. It's also the second time in the season where Liverpool and Man United are within back-to-back with each other in a 3-week span. But obviously this time both at home, which is nice. So yeah, January is definitely one of the toughest months. That's actually a really difficult month now that I properly review it. So that will certainly be one that we're going to have to be ready for, and definitely may very well need some signings in that January window to get us through. We move on to February, and February is again not very easy. Sunderland at home is obviously good. Brentford away is not too bad, but again, back-to-back Tottenham and Chelsea. We had it earlier on in that season, and we're going to have it again. So for some reason, it's fallen where both times that we play Tottenham and Chelsea, it's back-to-back from each other. I don't know why that's happened or how that it's even happened, but we're playing them both back-to-back. But of course, this time in reverse, it'll be Spurs away and Chelsea at home. So once again, 2 tough London derbies back-to-back. Then we move on to March, and March isn't terrible. March is actually quite decent. Brighton away, Everton at home, Wolves away. Not too bad. Should be fairly all right. And then again, April is pretty tough again, so that's not very easy. For some reason, this says Bournemouth away. I think that's probably supposed to say Bournemouth at home, so I'm not sure why that says that. So, sorry, I think that's meant to say Bournemouth at home or away. Apologies. But anyway, we've got Bournemouth, Man City away, and Newcastle at home. So, again, very difficult, not going to be easy in the slightest. However, finally, the good thing is we actually have a pretty good run-in. Our run-in is actually solid. Newcastle at home, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Burnley at home, and Palace away. That's a really, really good final 5 fixtures. So I'm really delighted with those 5 fixtures. I think that April one is supposed to say at home. So I think it's Bournemouth at home, not Bournemouth away. So that's good. So Bournemouth at home, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Burnley at home, Palace away, Newcastle at home. So that's what I'm saying. That is a very, very good run-in. Like, I'm really happy with that run-in. Obviously, apart from Man City away. Man City away is obviously really hard at the Etihad. But aside from that, Bournemouth home, Newcastle home, Fulham home, West Ham away, Burnley home, and Palace away. So this is what I'm saying. As much as it's not great to have so many hard fixtures early on, it does mean that you get a very good run-in. And ultimately, if there's any position in the season where I'm going to pick a good fixture on, it's going to be the run-in. And yeah, so obviously, I'm sure a lot of us were hoping for a much easier start this season than we got last season. But unfortunately, we've arguably got a harder start. But at the end of the day, we can't make excuses. And I'm certainly not going to, use this as any kind of excuse. Ultimately, it's the way the fixture... it's the way the fixtures were drawn. We can't help it. Ultimately, every single team is going to play the same fixtures. Every single team is going to play every team twice. The order that it happens in is just, that's completely arbitrary. So it is what it is. It's not a very easy run, but hopefully we can do it. Hopefully we can get some signings over the line. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. So all in all, a very difficult start to the season, a pretty difficult mid-season, but then a very solid end of the season, which is fairly easy. So basically the difficulty, I'd say, kind of gradually gets down and down as we go. So the start of the season is like very, very hard, among the hardest in the league. Middle of the season is definitely pretty tricky as well, probably around like, one of the most difficult, and then the run-in is one of the best in the league, and like just generally the end of the season. So we'll see what happens. I'm really looking forward to getting back to Premier League football in a couple of months. I'm really excited to start playing fantasy Premier League again, and of course, as you guys can imagine, I've been planning my fantasy Premier League team based on these fixtures being released for all the other teams. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know down below what team you support and what your fixtures are looking like. I need to review them all a bit more in depth, but please let me know what team you support and what fixtures your team has got and how you feel about them. And of course, Arsenal fans, please let me know how you guys are feeling about our fixtures. But really enjoyed doing this. I'll almost certainly be doing this for when the Champions League fixtures come out as well, so do look forward to that in a couple of months. But anyway, that's going to go on and do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for all the support recently. Please let me know down below what you think of Arsenal's 2025-26 fixtures. Please also let me know what you think of Arsenal's transfer window, and based on the difficulty of the early fixtures, what do you think we should be doing in the transfer window, and what sort of deals do you think we should be getting over the line? There's no denying it now that we need to be moving pretty quickly in this transfer window. We've been moving a bit slower, and that's okay, but obviously we've just seen how hard our fixtures are going to be, so we need all our players, we need all our new signings, everybody gelling as soon as we can. The Club World Cup is obviously happening, and this is one positive of Arsenal not being in the Club World Cup. They'll obviously be fully rested and fully ready to go for these tough fixtures. But anyway, that's going to go on and do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day. Please let me know down below what you think of Arsenal's fixtures, what you think of the transfer window, and ultimately what sort of signings you want to see to be able to get us through this challenging period. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys on another podcast soon. Bye bye.